we would, there's one video in which you talk a little bit about NoFap, and I would like to, again, put it over here, because I was personally someone who used to follow NoFap, and there are a lot of, I think, a lot of audience youngsters want to follow NoFap. I get a lot of query from youngsters, they're not able to control this compulsion, and is this some kind of sin? I'm doing sadhana, but still it's happening. So, and I think yours is one of the videos that actually talks about it in a very practical way. Most of the videos, it's either like you go all ahead this way or you do this. And I think it's quite unhealthy for someone to actually follow those videos if they do it. So I would like to ask about your perspective about the NoFap movement, and what youngsters, when we are going through that age, the sexual drive is in a very high. So how does one, channel it for one's well-being or growth? If you could shed some light on it.
Right. So see, one thing is that what has happened is with pornography being so easily available now, people have gone deep into that. Okay. So this NoFap thing, again, this is my opinion on this thing. I'm no authority on these things. I'm just stating my opinion. If it works for you, it works for you. It's fine. So because of pornography and overindulgence into this, the sexual pleasures, this movement has come about as a overcompensation to the other side. Because you went deep into this, now you gotta, because you were binge eating, now you have to fast. Something like that. Not exactly, but that's kind of the analogy. Because this obsession with the way people are approaching porn, because I have a lot of my participants and all, young guys calling me up for this same exact issue, that what do I do? This is just getting out of control for me. And pornography is somewhat to blame, but I never look at, the thing is never at fault. Whatever is in front of you, it is the person, Pornography is just acting, it's a performance. It's not even real sex, right? So people start, first of all, especially in India, where there are so many illiterate people start thinking that is how real sex is supposed to happen. No, that's not it. It's like a movie is not real life. Like that, pornography is also has nothing to do with real life. It is an enactment. It is a performance. And this is mostly amongst men. The kind of the sexual addiction is mostly amongst men. It's there in women also, but for men it is mostly there because men are visually aroused. So pornography is more targeted towards men. Now, this leads to a certain unhealthy way of getting dopamine. Because with sex, your dopamine levels, I think, are twice the normal, 2x hit basically you get. I don't know the exact numbers. With chocolate, you get like 1.25 and something, with higher drugs, it's like 10 times like that. So we are we are dopamine addicts now because of our phones also. Constant, one lick, nice, one reel, next reel.
Right.
So dopamine, this thing, it's out of control. We are not able to self-regulate our, the mind. So with NoFap, what is happening is, once again, if it has worked for you, good. Ignore my advice. You don't need to listen to me. If it hasn't worked for you, then I can go into reasons that one thing is that supposing you're fasting, you go on a diet, you don't eat food, you're eating like, say, some silly diet like watermelon diet, you eat for a week. You lose a couple of pounds, you lose some weight. But then in the weekend, then again, you eat pizza and all, you overeat, you binge, Okay. And again, you're back to square one.
Right.
So people who do crash dieting, they're never able to keep the weight off. Same with this. You're repressing the need in NoFap. You're repressing. One day it's going to blast. Because your biological secretions are happening constantly in terms of sperm. Sperm is completely rejuvenated and recreated in 48 hours. So every 48 hours it's being refilled. All the cells have been regenerated, recreated. So once again, the urge to release comes in. So this is a constant battle people are getting into. And the main reason that this battle happens is because somebody told you that this is bad for you.
Right.
So you get into this vicious cycle of repression, but you have to release anyways, and then guilt, and then back into repression.
Right.
This cycle. Indian society also, overall also, in the world also, they're very hypocritical. Nobody wants to talk about sex, but clearly Indians are having the most sex.
Right.
1.4 billion people. But you go outside, you say sex, and auntie will come and slap you. Beta, what is this you're saying? Chi. She had 3 kids. She has 3 kids. Where did it come from?
Right.
So there is this hypocrisy in Indian society, and if you talk about it, it's like nobody is having sex, but the population is exploding. It seems like our number one talent is that we are good at breeding. So this taboo thing has to go away. This forbidden aspect of sex has to go away, because even if you look at it from the yogic perspective, energy first enters through the Muladhara. This is the first chakra. Nothing wrong with it. It is just the root. It's the basis. Then you must have seen the calendar, red, yellow, this, then it goes into higher. So now what happens is energy enters into the first chakra and you are not able to contain it. And it wants to be released. So if you release it through the lower chakra, there are characteristics such as anger, sex, and all of this. Nothing wrong with it. But the consequence of releasing energy or interacting with existence through your lower chakras is that there is a certain bondage. Okay? So whether you are having friends with benefits or whether you're having, you're getting into a relationship and all, there's a certain element of bondage there. There's a certain price to pay. A certain price. I'm not saying it's a bad price to pay or not. I'm just saying there's a price to pay. And the nature is of bondage. Now, if you go above, if you release from a little above, you have Swadhisthana and all of that. That has to do with work. That has to do with your activity levels. You keep going up. The moment you reach Anahata, this is where they say, again, not all of this is in my experience. I'm giving you a lot of my conceptual knowledge also. Not everything is in my experience. But in my understanding, till the Anahata, there is some sense of duality and bondage involved. There is a binary involved, So above that, this binary starts to go down. There is only one. There is no two. So why we are putting Vibhuti here in the Ajna, in the Vishuddhi, and in the Anahata is because we are trying to sensitize these regions a little bit more so that our interactions with the world happens through the higher aspects, geographically higher. Don't think higher means better. Geographically higher aspects because they're naturally liberating in nature.
Right.
The lower aspects are entangling in nature. It's not about good and bad. It's just about understanding the nature of things. Okay, like you supposing you engage in the lower, supposing you are in a relationship, even if you approach it consciously, you get married to somebody, there's a certain amount of work that has to go into it. Your partner may be angry sometimes, they may be happy sometimes, you have to manage it, you have to put energy into it. So nothing bad about it. Everything can be used as a means to evolution, but there's a certain level of entanglement there. You cannot just simply say, okay, bye-bye. That's why people with, friends with benefits and all of these things, it doesn't work out long-term usually. Usually, again, I'm not saying for everybody. People get things involved, entanglements happen, and then, it doesn't work out. So this is just how it is. Now, when you're talking about NoFap, the number one problem with it is that, okay, if it's a compensation, you went too hard into porn and you're addicted and all of that, and then you shift to the other side, it's fine. Little bit of self-discipline, self-mastery is necessary. It may work for you. All right. But my problem and my issue with it is, what have you actually done? If I ask you, what have you done? It's like, I have not masturbated. Okay. How's that a big deal? That's all you've done. You're still about masturbation. It's just that you're not masturbating. If you if you just release it, at least that thing gets away from you, and then you can carry on with your day.
Right, true.
So what do you do with these tools? What do you do with these methods? Be it NoFap, be it sadhana, be it this, be it that, fasting, tapasya, all of this. What do? You're trying to enhance yourself so that there's a certain impact you can have on the world. There's something you can do. This is to enhance your perception. This is to enhance many different aspects of you. If it is being used like that, it is fine. But the problem with NoFap is, for a lot of people who are hitting into this roadblock, is that they become about it. So this guy came to me and said that through the month, Anna, I did this through the month, and one day this happened and this thing. I was like, listen, dude, how was your experience through the month? Throughout the month, you're thinking, oh, I do not want to masturbate. I do not want to masturbate. I have to. And you're still, the content of your consciousness is still that.
Right.
So my approach to this is, when I was in very intense states of sadhana in the ashram, and we were in some situations, in the beginning, we were told very clearly. In Hatha Yoga school, now I don't think they give this instruction, but in my batch, one of the senior swamis, it was very clear. He said, you're going to live like a brahmachari. He's not going to say NoFap. He's not going to specify. You should be intelligent enough to understand what he's saying.
Right.
You're going to live like a brahmachari. Once he said it, that's it, it's done. Okay? And my experience was that now that I look back on it, my experience was that I was so intensely focused on the spiritual aspects that I did not have to think of NoFap. You asked me then, I wouldn't probably, at that time, the NoFap movement wasn't even popular. I didn't even know these terms, NoFap, But I was so intensely focused there, my sexual aspect of me was not being catered to, and I had no attention on it because I was there for a completely different purpose. If I wanted to sleep around and cater to my sexuality and all of that, if I wanted to give expression to that, I can do that anywhere else, right? And it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. But I was in the ashram for a particular purpose, and I was focused on that. So this never occurred to me. This NoFap thing was never occurred to me. It never bothered me. And with Sadhguru, he clearly said, again, the same things. And after a while, they stopped telling us these things. We just knew.
Right.
Because by that time, we mature into such a place that we know that that this is what it comes with. This is what we have decided. So it is not by effort, actually. For me, maybe different people come with different karmas, different this thing. It's possible that some people struggled with it and all. I know. I've spoken to my colleagues and all who faced issues with it and all. But for me personally, I was very clear on this because it is about how the energy finds expression. If it finds expression through the lower ones, this is the nature. There is a little bit of pleasure there. This is also given by Creator. This is inbuilt. There's nothing wrong in it. There is, Sadhguru says that the orgasm is, there is a certain aspect of samadhi in it also. It is not sexual in nature. Lust and all of that is sexual in nature. But just within yourself, this is a taste of samadhi that the Creator has put in you. And then if you express from higher and higher and higher levels, basically instead of spilling from the bottom, you want to spill from the top. Your energy, when it's built up, when it's sealed from the bottom, you're not letting it express here through the lower chakras. Inevitably, it will find expression in high forms of creativity, knowledge, writing, poetry. If you go further higher, wisdom, wisdom beyond your science and all. It may include that also, actually. But then inner wisdom, and then new doors start to open up for you.
Right.
But the problem is people are not able to contain this energy.
Right.
You cannot contain the energy. You cannot seal it. You want to spill. You want to express. You want to just burst out.
Right.
This is where the sadhana comes in.
Right. So now, how much does sadhana and what are the impacts of diet on this actually? As much as could you talk?